Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my English learning channel. Today, I will tell you a very emotional story, a story about war, hope, and never giving up. Our story takes place in the 1940s, during a time of war. The world was full of chaos, fear, and hunger. In a small European city lived Daniel Kovacs. He was not a soldier, not a leader, not a rich man. He was just a simple mechanic, an ordinary worker with ordinary dreams. But destiny had prepared for him a path full of pain, struggle, and also unshakable hope. Have you ever wondered why you keep facing the same temptation over and over? Even though you pray, fast, and beg God to take it away? The truth is there are hidden reasons believers secretly struggle with temptation. And unless you uncover them, you'll remain trapped in the same cycles that drain your joy and weaken your faith. One hidden reason is that temptation feeds on unguarded desires. James 1 verse 14 says each person is tempted when they're dragged away by their own desire, and many times you don't recognize how subtle desires, envy, pride, or the craving for approval, become open doors the enemy uses to pull you into sin. You convince yourself it's harmless, yet that hidden longing creates a weakness Satan recognizes, because he knows your patterns even better than you do. Another reason is unhealed wounds. What you refuse to surrender to Christ often festers in silence. And Ephesians 4 verse 27 warns us not to give the devil a foothold. Yet bitterness, rejection, and unresolved pain from the past create the very ground where temptation grows strongest. You wonder why certain sins keep returning, but it is because you haven't allowed the Spirit to dig out the root. You patch over religion while secretly carrying scars that keep you vulnerable. A third hidden reason is spiritual laziness. Jesus told his disciples in Matthew 26 verse 41 to watch and pray, so they would not fall into temptation. But many believers pray only when crisis hits, leaving long stretches where the flesh dominates the spirit. When your spiritual disciplines fade, temptation doesn't just come knocking, it moves in, and you find yourself shocked at how quickly you compromise because you weren't fortified in the Word. A fourth reason lies in misplaced identity. When you forget who you are in Christ, you start chasing false validation, and suddenly temptation looks like a shortcut to feel valuable or loved. But 1 Peter 2 verse 9 declares you are chosen, a royal priesthood, set apart. Yet temptation blinds you to this reality and makes you think it will give you what God already promised. A fifth hidden reason is demonic strategy. Ephesians 6 reminds us our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and rulers of darkness. And if you don't discern the spiritual assignment against your life, you'll assume temptation is just your weakness rather than a targeted attack to derail your calling. Every time you're on the verge of breakthrough, notice how temptation intensifies, because the enemy fears what will happen if you step fully into obedience. Another reason is the secrecy itself. Temptation thrives in darkness, and as long as you hide your struggle, you keep feeding its power, because James 5 verse 16 says healing comes through confession, but when you stay silent, shame grows stronger and you feel bound by chains no one else can see. And finally, many believers struggle because they underestimate the cost of sin. Hebrews 11 reminds us that sin is pleasurable for a season, and you secretly think you can manage it. But every compromise carries a spiritual price tag that robs you of peace, authority, and intimacy with God. You wonder why your prayers feel heavy, why worship feels dry, why the presence seems distant. Yet it is because temptation lured you into subtle disobedience that slowly dulls your spirit. The shocking truth is temptation isn't random. It is strategic. It is hidden in the cracks of your desires, wounds, laziness, forgotten identity, demonic attacks, secrecy, and underestimation of sin's cost. And until you confront these reasons head-on, you'll keep circling the same mountain, secretly defeated while appearing strong on the outside. But here is your challenge. Stop treating temptation as a private struggle you must endure alone, and start exposing it to the light, strengthening your spirit through prayer, fasting, and the Word, and reminding yourself daily that you are chosen, covered, and empowered by the Spirit of God. Romans 8 verse 37 declares you are more than a conqueror through Christ, which means temptation doesn't have the final say. You do, when you decide to stand in the authority already given to you. So the next time temptation whispers, remember the hidden reasons of its power, and then tear down every secret foothold with truth. Because the fight is real, but victory is already yours if you choose to walk in it. Thank you for joining my channel, The Tale Teller. I hope these films will bring real value to the public, but this is just the beginning, and what is coming next could change everything If the stories touch your heart, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes. And don't forget to leave a comment. Help the channel grow. See you in the next episode where the journey continues